Welcome to our Georgia suburban homestead. I'm Charlie, and we're going to go over what to paint and what not to paint on a beehive. We have a beehive here that I've partially assembled, but I haven't painted yet. So I'm going to take it apart and show you the different pieces and show you which parts get painted and which parts don't. Alright? So, at the top you have what's called the telescoping lid. It's called telescoping because you can actually lift it up a little bit, let it down, like a telescope tube coming in and out. I'm going to take this off, and you can see it's just got a metal thunder maker, which also keeps the rain off. Then you have the inner cover, which has a board. I'm not going to take this out because it's a little hard to get in there, but you can see it's loose.
Do that again?
You can see it's loose, but it sits on a little half lap on these outer pieces. So what we're going to do is, before we put that metal on, we're going to paint this part here, part of the top, because sometimes that water will wick up from the metal. The rain's going to come, it's going to fall, and if it's touching the wood, it's going to try to wick that water right back up. So we're going to paint a little ways in here. What we're going to paint is this, because this is where the water is going to drip off. We're going to paint the outer part, and we're going to paint part of what goes under the metal. The reason being, when I attack that metal into the wood, it's going to contact the wood, and then it's going to try to, through capillary action, draw some of that water up into the lid. And we don't want it to pull it up to any unpainted wood. But the nice thing about the telescoping cover is that it will dry out a lot faster. Then you have the inner cover. You don't paint anything whatsoever on the inner cover, so just set that one aside. Now you got the main box. So typically you're going to stack one box on top of another, and what's going to happen is those bees are going to start stuffing some stuff in that crack, because they don't like drafts, and they don't like holes where ants or something can come in.
What do they stuff? What's the stuff that they stuff?
Proprios.
Proprios.
Yeah, it's
sounds like a Greek god.
It's a mixture of wax and resin that they gather from trees, and it hardens up and acts like a glue, and they will go in, and since I've disassembled this box where it was fingered, you can see little gaps. They will go in and fill all those gaps, and when a frame's sitting there, especially in the fall, they will glue those frames to that wood as tight as they can. So that
because cold weather's coming.
Cold weather's coming. They're making sure there are no air gaps. Anyway, typically you do not paint anything that's going to be on the inside of the hive. The reason being is the bees put out a lot of moisture, and if you paint the inside of the hive in cold weather, the moisture is going to condense on the side of your box, and it can drip down into your hive, or it'll roll down the side and get on your bottom board. But if it's not painted, all that moisture kind of absorbs into the wood, but then it breathes back out. In drier weather, it'll breathe back out. But I paint, like I say, I paint the top edge of the wood. The reason being that even though they're going to glue these things together, they're only going to glue the inside, which means you're going to have a crack on the outside. And that water is going to seep in that crack. And we don't want it to seep into the top and soak into the wood, because then it's going to start rotting on you. So the outsides and the top edges, and of course the bottom edge, because the bottom edge is, you know, in contact with the bottom board. And then the bottom board is more fun. I paint the landing area.
That's the front porch.
Front porch, the landing area, because they're not going to stay there. It's going to get rained on. There's this guy who's a painter, professional painter, right? And he's going to church, and as he's coming out, the preacher meets him at the door and says, "Hey, I understand you're a painter." He says, "Yeah." He says, "Well, we kind of need the church painted." And the guy says, "Well, I can do you a good deed, you know, give you a discount a little bit." And the preacher goes, "Well, I was hoping you'd just paint it for us free." And the guy's thinking, you know. Anyway, so he makes an appointment to show up on the weekend, paint the church. He kind of expects the church to pay for the paint. When he shows up, no paint. And preacher's there, and he says, "Well, you want me to paint the church, but you're not supplying any paint." And the preacher says, "Well, you got some extra, don't you?" Things he goes, "Yeah, I got a little left over from my last project. Maybe I can do that." So the preacher goes off, and he looks in the back of his van, and he's got like 3 gallons to paint the whole church, right? Well, he just starts thinning it down real good. He's going around painting the church with a really thin paint, barely covers anything, right? And just as he's about to finish, this cloud forms over the church and rains, and all that thinned off paint starts washing off. And as the cloud disperses, he hears his voice going, "Repaint and thin no more." Yeah. What can I say? So, y'all come back. Give me a thumbs up, maybe, assuming my joke wasn't that horrible. And maybe subscribe if you want to hear some more really bad jokes. Ring the bell or push the little black bell button. Let us know you watched the videos. Make a comment or two. Maybe you've got a joke you can tell. But y'all come back now. Be good. Bye.